Welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings, with me, Gretta Chamberlain, and the Realm of Beings. Shifting Impressions, which is one of the vehicles that supports the transmission of the Realm of Beings, is here to assist you in delving into your being by providing numerous topics and discussions for you to intake as you deepen your connection with your inner world. Shifting Impressions is here to assist you in strengthening yourself as you excavate to understand your true nature. Join us today and learn to shift your mindset, shift your thoughts, and shift your focus to recreate your life and produce a new you. Shifting Impressions starts now.
Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. I'm Carol, and I'm here with my lovely co-hosts, Gretta, Kathleen, and of course, the Realm of Beings. We here at Shifting Impressions are very happy to be here on Transformation Network every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time and 8 a.m. Pacific Time. You may also catch us on any of our latest programs. You can watch them by streaming, like on YouTube, Spotify, any of your favorite streaming platforms. We're on Facebook and Instagram, and of course, Transformation Network. And we have our own website, therealmofbeings.com. Listeners and viewers, if you're new to the podcast, thank you for joining us and being part of this experience. These conversations will help you to look at your life, your creation of reality, to see what you're creating, how it shows up, and how to help you gain perspective so you can learn how to shift what you're creating and shift it to what you want to create. So welcome everybody to our new listeners and viewers. Each week, Greta shares with us a quote given to her from the Realm of Beings, which we discuss with each other. And later on in the program, the realm will come through and expound on the quote that they've given us. This week, the quote is, "Each of you is worthy to experience what you deem as the good life. So heal yourself." And, we talk all the time about loving yourself unconditionally. We talk about you can heal yourself, mental equivalencies, emotional equivalencies. I mean, there's a lot there. And we say it all the time, but you have to really work at it, I must say, because I know that there's been layers that are coming off me, and I'm finding stuff that's so deep that it shocks me at some point. So just when I think I've got it, it's like, oh, there's another layer I got to deal with. But we are able to heal ourselves and to know that we're worthy and that we can create the reality that we want to experience. And whether you want to call it good or whether you want to call it high vibrational, if it's what you want, just create it. Who wants to go next?
Good job, Carol. Really good job.
Yeah,
Carol. I really don't have too much to say, except I agree with everything with the quote and everything. I just think for some people, convincing them that they can heal themselves can be a challenge for quite a few.
Oh, definitely.
Like it's and they even those that we facilitate for sometimes slip into they think things like are going to happen instantaneously. And I'm glad you said that sometimes it takes time because you got to remove all the layers. And some people want to go to a Reiki person, and I'm not knocking that, and say, heal me. And they don't understand that they have to work at it. They have to find the underlying causes of why they created to experience that disease or ailment to begin with. So, but it's the whole thing to me, it's like convincing themselves that only someone other than them can help them, like a doctor or a shaman or a ritual or even a prayer. They look everywhere else but inside of themselves.
Yeah. And we always say nobody can do anything to you. And that doesn't just mean stuff like low vibration stuff. It means even the high vibration stuff. Nobody can fix you or heal you. you have to do it for yourself because that's all that exists is yourself.
Well, but at the same time, we don't want to throw that baby out with the bathwater, because there are people in the medical profession that support us in healing ourselves.
Right, and that's the key word.
You know what I mean? Like your
Guide.
doctors and things like that. But it's like some people have reoccurrences of the same medical or disease because they haven't
Right.
got rid of the causes. And when you try to
Exactly.
explain that to them, that you really need to work on releasing those peeling off those layers. Sometimes you meet a lot of resistance. It's because
Oh,
they
for
just
sure.
they just don't want to accept the fact that they are creating everything that happens to them.
And even I have an interesting little story that Greta and I shared. As I think our listeners know, that I had bad arthritis in my knees and I had knee replacement surgery on both knees. So in my mind, I fixed it. And arthritis is symbolic of not being flexible or being adaptable. Um, Guess what's starting to hurt me now? My shoulder and my elbow. So I didn't fix it. I moved it to another place. So that means I still have to get to the root cause to get rid of it. It went to a different part of my body.
And Greta may
So
chime in now, but each part of your body
indicates something. I looked it up. It
indicates.
still has to do with flexibility and adaptability. So I'm still trying to get to that root cause
Mhm.
and
Wow.
address it at the letter.
Yeah. When I looked at the quota when they gave it to me, and I'm looking at it now, I agree, of course, with what all of you have said, but I started looking at the word worthy. That's what stuck out to me.
Mm-hmm.
What does worthy really mean? What does that mean? Each of you is worthy.
I think for most people that don't know creation or reality, in layman's terms, if I may use that expression, I think worthy means deserving of good things. Does that translate properly?
You know, I think, as I look at that word, it's going to take on so many connotations, because what one person thinks is worthy is not necessarily what somebody else is going to think is
Exactly.
worthy. And so what affects our worthiness? Our worthiness is affected by the people that we associate with. We start dealing with it really when we're in the womb. Do the people that we've chosen to be our parents, or the lineage that we have, is it a lineage where people, regardless of what cultural framework or whatever, religious framework, whatever, do they consider themselves to be worthy? Does the mother that's carrying me in my womb feel that she is worthy? Because if she doesn't feel worthy, then doggone it, I'm not going to feel worthy. I'm going to be born with the idea that I'm not worthy because I picked it up from my mother. Because six months, and I've said it before, when you're 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months in the womb, you can hear and see. So if my mother is going through a lot of challenges with herself, then I'm going to pick that up because I chose her in the first place. So I chose her to have that lesson, that how. How am I going to learn the lessons that I have, that I'm committed to learn? So one of them could be worthiness. So if she has, during the pregnancy, felt unworthy for whatever reason, then you know doggone well that most likely I'm going to feel that way. So
That makes
many
sense.
of, yeah, and many of us are coming out of our parents, our mother's wombs, already feeling downtrodden. So
Unwanted,
as
unloved, all of that.
right, and see, as children, we see ourselves as children. We don't see ourselves as spirit. So, and we've been taught already in the womb that we're not worthy. So when that says each of you is worthy, then to me, that means then now I've got to look at where I am and make a conscious decision that I don't want to be there, that I want to be somewhere else. I want to feel worthy. I don't want to feel that I'm no good. I don't want to feel that I'm not wanted. I'm worthy of having what I think is a good life. You know, somebody might think a good life is for them to be living in a castle, whereas somebody thinks a good life is uh, just getting a house or in a nice apartment as far as residences are concerned. Somebody may think homelessness is a good life. So then I think worthiness and what is a good life? What is a good life? So it says, so heal yourself. So we got to go through a healing, but then we got to deal with what are we doing a good life for? What is a good life?
And what are we healing? What part of our beingness are we healing? And do we think, somebody might think being mentally challenged is healed? I don't know. Everyone creates their own reality, so it's like, um it's really, sometimes I always, sometimes the quotes seem like they're so simple and straightforward, and when you start breaking down those lexical items, they're not. There's so many different layers to even this quote here, because you're right when it comes about worthiness, because there are people that think they're worthy of having everything, but it doesn't mean you agree with them. And I mean, how does that affect us? Does that person have a right to think that they're worthy and they deserve everything and they can step on everyone to get it? Well, if those that get stepped on create to get stepped on, I guess the person's right. So I mean, it's kind of it's interesting when we look at it from different perspectives.
You know,
That I think is the
no,
perception. Everyone's perception is different.
absolutely. You know, I've used this example of this young man. This happened to me about maybe 35 years ago. And I was working with some, um, they were all males and they were high school level. And I've said this example before, but it fits about worthiness and it fits about good life because he was getting ready to graduate. He lived in a home, wonderful home with his parents. Everything was intact. He was in what you would call a wonderful family and had high grades in high school, had a lot of potential to do all kinds of things. Anything that he wanted to do as far as academics, he could do it. So I asked him, I said, well, what are you going to do? You're getting ready to graduate. What are you getting ready to do now? And he said to me, he said that I'm going to be homeless. I said, you're going to be homeless? And I said, okay. I didn't really ask him, I don't believe, for him to describe why he had made that decision. But when I think about it now, homelessness, being homeless, he considered to be that decision to be a healing decision for him. Because how was he going to perceive healing? Healing is growth. You know, it takes effort and strength, courage to be homeless. You know, you might see a person out there, sleeping in a tent or whatever. But that person, it takes a lot of stamina to do that. You've got to have a lot of internal strength to be homeless, you know. And so the worthiness was, ironically was, am I worthy enough to be homeless? You see. So look at how that can be worthy, good life. I asked some of the other young men, I said, have you seen him? And they said he would be in his 40s now, about 40s or 50s. And they said yes. And I said, well, where have you seen him? He's out on the street. He's out on the street, Miss Chamberlain, practicing homelessness. So for him at that moment, at that decision making, that was quote unquote a good life for him. Whereas some of us think the good life means that I got a car, means that I got a house or whatever, or means I got 3 squares to eat, meaning
I
meals.
think that I think
Every day.
that's where I am, Greta. I'm not gonna lie. I guess I'm a brave chicken to live in to live the way I do because I'm worthy of being a brave chicken.
All right. All right. But see, I think with him, it's this worthiness and this good life is how do you, either you or Carol said, I think Carol said it, my perception. It is perception tied to that quote. What does that mean for you? I remember when I was homeless, when my husband and I were crossing this river into from one African country to another African country, and we didn't even know where to stay, but we created this other gentleman, became a friend of ours because he was in the same canoe going across the river with us and was asking questions. And, we told him, well, we're new and we are, um, he said, do you know where you're going to live? And I said, no. We don't know, you know. And so he said, well, I have a place for you where you can go for tonight or for 2 or 3 days. And then I'm going to ask a friend of mine, she has a room, and see if she'll let you stay in that room, you know. So it looked like a hotel to me because people were going in and out. And then it finally dawned on me, I just had to say duh to myself because it turned out it was a brothel. And I was living in a brothel. I said, wow. But you know what? It was a good life for me at that time versus being homeless and not having a place to live. So that means good is all relative as well.
Exactly.
What do you deem as a good life? The good life for me was not being homeless, but having a roof over my head, to stay in a brothel, you know, where women of the quote unquote night, were doing their jobs and so forth. But at that point in time, that was good for me versus me staying out on the street with my
So it's
husband.
evolving. What you're saying is that your a good life, everything it changes, nothing stays the same.
Absolutely.
And every moment you're creating a good life or a new life, however you want to express it, you know.
Absolutely. And like you said, Kathy, it's changing. It's in a constant state of change, you know. Am I worthy for this? So I had to move from being nowhere to a brothel, from being in a brothel into one room, as small as your office, in fact, that you're in right now, staying there. So I'm worthy now. I'm seeing myself worthy. I'm able to move from this situation to this situation. I have the goodness here now is being translated to the goodness over here. Because now the one room, I'm no longer with the women of the night and men coming in and out. So that's a good life for me. Now somebody else coming along, seeing that room that I had to live in, would say, hecky no, this is not good. But for me, coming from that good situation to this good situation,
But
which then means that there's nothing, like we said last week, there's nothing that is bad.
But right, but that's what I'm saying. But it also supports you in learning your lessons. That's you chose. It's all
Absolutely.
tied into so the kind of life and whether it's physical ailments, whatever, whatever decisions that you create, whatever realities that you create, um, all supports you from picking that parent to hearing whatever you're going to hear in the womb, to where you are until you make your transition. You know, it's
Absolutely.
constantly changing, and it's not a thing of improving or not improving your life. It's experiencing it, it's learning from it, and it's basically just loving being in the moment, whether or not people don't know that. Okay.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
that's that's the other part of the challenge. They don't see that, and they don't. If what you also forget, Greta, is you experienced it, but then you decided, well, it's not for me. So you changed your thoughts and you changed your reality.
Absolutely. But at that time, it was I accepted it and I was so grateful to have it. I was really grateful to be there because I had a bed I could sleep in. I had a shelter, which shows you that uh, it's all good. It's all good. Even if I am having an experience of being in the hospital, it's to perceive it's all good because I created to be in that hospital. I created to have that challenge. And it's all about learning. It's all about lessons. This is a constant state of learning lessons. It's a constant state. And if we can even turn and look at that worthiness and say, I am worthy to experience this.
Yeah, there you go.
I am worthy to experience this challenge. So the worthiness now doesn't always have to mean that I'm feeling great about myself and I'm happy with where I am and whatever. But if we turn that thought to say, I'm worthy of this experience because it is going to cause me to grow. Therefore, I'm worthy of it. And therefore, it's good. It's all good because I'm worthy of it.
I like what Kathy said about living in the moment. And, we talk all the time about not judging how someone else creates their reality. You have to just create your own. And we talk about learning lessons. There are people that don't even know they have lessons to learn. So it's all about perspective. But what came to me when you were talking, Greta, about moving from one situation, the way you were living, to another, is, and I think it's from the Bible. I'm not quoting exactly, but there was a parable about the man who said, I cried because I had no shoes, and then I saw a man that had no feet. It's what is your perception of a good life, So
Absolutely.
that's where we have to always think and have to always remember that we are the ones creating it. So it has to be good. I mean, the realm tells us that all the time.
Yeah,
If you
yeah, and you know what?
create it,
What came to me, Carol, is that a good life for some of my ancestors down on the Waverly Plantation was being together, not being sold apart, even
uh,
though they might have been, even though they were enslaved. You
right.
know, so that kind of falls in line to what you're saying, where other families created to be torn apart.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And it's
mean,
all good. It's always all
it's all
good.
good.
It's
It's
always
all
good.
good.
It's always. If we, everything that happens to us, if we can get into a stance of saying, it's all good, what does that do? It eliminates you from blaming yourself. It eliminates you from criticizing yourself. You know, it eliminates you from self-punishment
Exactly. Oh my gosh, that's the big thing, self-punishment.
Oh, yeah.
or
I have a whole
self-condemnation, you know.
QDR about that one.
But that's why, you suggest the book You Can Heal Your Life, and Martel's, book, where, if there's a challenge, I can go look and see the mental equivalencies for that. And, it's like, even when I do facilitation work now, just getting the person to unpack and see that they are looping, and seeing that some things, like you're punishing yourself. Can you see it? But if you unpack it like step by step by step, when this happened, this event happened, how did you feel? What were you doing? They can begin to see how it all kind of flows together, which is what you do, Carol, what I do, what Greta does. And which is how we were taught by the realm, and I know I'm taught by Greta as facilitator to do. So
But yeah, life is wonderful. It really is. Because we have created challenges. You know how I equate it? It's like playing chess, or let's make it even simpler, playing checkers. So you're playing checkers, and you keep succeeding at the checkers based on how you feel, how you structure your succeeding. How do you perceive your succeeding to be? Okay. So, but the thing is then, all of a sudden you get tired. Well, I'm tired of playing checkers this way. I want to try three-dimensional checkers, which makes it even a little bit more complicated, because now you don't look at the straight board. You've got to look at all three levels in order to play it. So you can, and to me, that's what life is about. Sometimes I don't want the plain board checkers. I want a little bit more juice.
A little more
I
challenge.
can't play. I never wanted checkers, and I don't win at chess.
And I think it's time for us. Carol, can you take us out?
Yes, we are going to take a short break. We're going to ask everyone to stay with us while we do, because when we return, we will have the realm speaking to us directly. So enjoy the break. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back, everybody. You're watching or listening to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. We are at that point of the program where the realm will speak to us directly. So, realm, let me say hello to you and welcome.
Howdy.
And they're here. Yes. Okay. We're discussing the quote you gave Greta. Each of you is worthy to experience what you deem as the good life. So heal yourself. And would you like to expound on that for us?
Well, I think you ladies did a really pretty good job on that.
Well, thank you.
Looking at the worthy, looking at the good life, and looking at the heal yourself. In this quote, we're meaning not necessarily just a physical healing, but we were also implying mental and emotional healing, psychological healing, healing of finances. You know, what does that word healing mean now? Healing means that you're going from one state that you think that is not necessarily working for your best interest to a state of where it is working for your best interest. So that movement from whatever to the other is a healing process right there in between that. And that is that creation of reality that you use to say, okay, I was here, but now I want to be over here. So technically you're healing that situation so that you can move there. Some people will move be in one situation and they're going to have a movement, but the movement is going to take them with different people, different circumstances, but it's the same lesson. So they're just going to move.
Like a lateral
Absolutely.
move.
Absolutely. It's just that the people and the situation, and not necessarily the situation, because the situations could be the lesson, but it's going to be that they might be in a different country, a different house, whatever, to move and to accept that. But movement is also a healing. So the healing that we'd like to discuss with you all is that healing is a movement. It's a change of reality where you take into account your familial rearing and your cultural background, your ethnicity. All of that will provide you with the opportunities for determining your healing so that you can move into the good life. See, the healing takes you into the good life or wherever, whatever, however you define it. So good life has no state way of being. The good life is by your perception, you see. Someone could be looking at mangoes that they have to pay 25 cents a pound for. I'm saying that arbitrarily. That they have to pay. They go to the grocery store and buy a mango. Another person can be in a situation where all they got to do is snatch it right off the doggone tree and eat it. So that person who can snatch it off the tree and enjoy the mango where they are, to them it's having a good life. The person who is at the grocery store, who is paying the 25 cents a pound, goes home with it and eats it, and it's having a good life. So both people are having a quote unquote good life. It's just their perception of it is different. But they're both eating the mango. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Okay. So the good life is it's up to you. The healing is a movement from one situation to possibly something that you perceive to be better. That's when was Greta was saying living in the brothel and then moving to a one room in a house with another lady was a healing for her. It was a movement from this to this. But each thing was good. Because at the time now, because you as humans are so oriented toward this thing called time. At the time, the brothel looked like heaven, you see. Glad to be there. Glad to have a roof. Glad to be able to eat. Glad to be able to sleep. I'm in the good life. But now I want to change my conceptualization of that good life. So therefore she created, and her husband created to move into one room in a house with another person. So that was a good life as well. So the good life changes, everybody. It's not a stagnant thing. It's going to be because you're not stagnant. See, humans are not stagnated beings. You're always creating reality. You're always changing, you know. But sometimes you choose a good thing that when you look at, because see, all lessons are good. There's no, tell you the truth. There's no good or bad. There's only the isness of something. How you get a good or bad is what we've said in previous podcasts, is that you have to have judgment for it. I'm judging that this is good. I'm judging that this is bad. And the judgment, it goes according to where you're at. Who are you as a person as you're judging? You see. So the judgment is good. This is good for me. Then you're going to look, oh, this is better for me over here, you see. But then you have to look at what made you go to point A in the first place. So in order to change how you feel about point A and how you got to point A and how you are involved in point A, and you decide you no longer want to be in point A, and you're going to create the reality to go to point B that you perceive to be better than point A, then that process in between going from that point A to that point B is healing. You're healing a certain situation, you see. You're going through a healing process in order to move from one thing to the other. It's like changing jobs. I do hair. I'm a barber. But now I've decided I think I want to be a makeup artist. So for me to change to be a barber, to get to do everything that I need to do to get to be a makeup artist, I'm going through a healing process within myself, because to change one's perception of something is a healing. It is a healing unto itself. Now, somebody wanted to ask a question. Worthiness. We are always in a state of worthiness. We are never in a state of not being worthy. We are always in a state of being worthy. And everything we create is part of our worthiness. Because everything we create, we've created it for a reason. And one of the reasons why we've created a situation is to learn from it. You know, we've been saying on this podcast, all of these lessons that we put upon ourselves, very interestingly enough, is not for us to succumb to them. The objective is to overcome them. not to succumb to them. So this is the thing like that. So worthiness. If you know that everything is all good, regardless of how you perceive it, you go down to a deeper level. You have perception up at the top. You got to go down below the perception. When you go down below the perception, you see that all is good, regardless of how it showed itself. So that means that you are in a constant state of being worthy, because you are constantly creating a reality and realities. You're in that. You're in that. So therefore, you're in a state of worthiness at all times. You're never not. And I know in English, never not means a positive. So, but let's not go in through all that. We just wanted to say that you're always worthy. It's not like something you're just going to get. And to understand the healing process is change. Moving from one thing to the other, that's a healing. Because you have to deal with yourselves in order to get to point B from point A. And many of you will look and say, well, how did I get to point A in the first place? And as you look at that, then you can determine, well, this is what I'm going to do to get point B. But you got to heal point A as you're going through point B as well. So you're constantly, so what we're trying to say is that you're constantly in a state of worthiness. You're never out of it. And you're constantly in a state of having a good life, because it's all good, really. You perceive it to be a challenge. You can perceive it to be horrible because you're going to judge it. But when you move out of depending on judgment and just looking at something being in isness, then you know you're always worthy, and you know that you're always in the good life, and you're always in a state of healing. Because you must be in those states in order to create your reality, regardless if you are consciously aware of it or not. Are there any questions, ladies? I take the silence to mean there are no questions.
Kathy, I think you muted yourself.
Oh, I sure did. Oh, thank you. I do have, I think you answered some of the questions, but I guess what kind of insight do people need in order to support or facilitate their own healing, regardless of what it is?
Some people will do all kinds of things. Some people will pray. And you stated that in the beginning, Miss Kathy.
Yes, it is.
Some people will go to a shaman. Some people will go to a babalao. Some people will go to a psychic. Some people will go to a therapy machine. You see, some people will go to the bank. Some people will sit down with a person who knows how to invest monies. You know, you're going to choose where you want to be and choose how you're going to get there. That's what you're doing. You're choosing. Soon as you realize you don't, and that's part of it, and you all said it, it's realizing that you want to change. Realizing that you don't want to be at point A for the rest of your lives. But you want to explore part B, and then maybe when you get to B, you decide, oh, let me go to C. What's at C? You see. Or I want to stay at B for a while. You see. I want to take a look at that. But you're worthy of B because you've created it. You're worthy to heal because you healed in the movement from point A to point B. And the good life exists throughout the whole thing. The good life really is a permanent state of being. We just don't realize it because we look at ourselves outside instead of looking inside. Inside, it's all good. Inside, it's the good life. Inside, we are worthy, and we know we are worthy. So it's to go internal, Miss Kathy, not to look at, not to compare yourselves to your friend who has more money than you, and you want to compare it. That wasn't your lesson. That is not what you chose.
Well, switching a little bit to more physical ailments. Why is finding the fundamental causes of an ailment or a disease so important for our audience to understand?
Well, it's important because if you understand mental equivalencies, and I think you're asking that question just to assist the audience.
Yes, I am.
Because you already know the answer.
Correct.
But the thing is that the first thing is to note that your body, your physical body, shows you where your unconscious is. It shows you what you're holding on to. This is its job.
Aha, I like that expression. This is your body's job.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Because that is why it is the last body that you get when you're being formed. And you don't get that body until you do conception. Because by the time you get to the conception, well, your mother and your father do the do, you know what I mean. Then you're coming there, but you've chosen them. You've chosen them both because they're fitting with lessons that you have decided are good for you to learn. I want to learn this. I want to learn that I don't have to feel lonely. I want to learn that I don't have to feel abandonment. I don't have to stay in abandonment. I can come out of it. So therefore you grab hold of these parents, and dad walks out or mom walks out, and then you go through, oh, I'm feeling abandoned. Why? Because that's your lesson. But as we said, don't succumb to it. Get out of it. See the good in it. Because, see, if you see the good in the abandonment, part of the good can be, of course, it's going to be what the person creates, but part of the good can be that you become a stronger person. That when you decide that you want to have children, because of the experience of being abandoned, you are saying to yourself, I am never going to abandon my children. Look what you learned from that. You see, that's why everything is good. Because we're always learning, Miss Kathy. We're always learning. Now, people who don't think that, they can kind of go down into what we call the valley of condition, or they'll go down sipping tea with Alice. And sometimes they're not happy with that. They've got to call on the Mad Hatter, the Rabbit, and even the Queen of Hearts. And then they'll sit down there and commiserate with the Queen of Hearts and the Mad Hatter and the Rabbit. And it's all good because they chose to go there. So it's all good to be there. And one way to get down there with the Mad Hatter and everybody is to go into a state of depression. You're going to be depressed. I don't even want to get up out of bed, you'll say. I don't feel like it. I just want to sleep my way away. I'm going to stay asleep. I don't want to say anything. But it's all good. Because what are you learning? You're learning not to see. So that later on, you can learn to see. Everything has a basis for something else. That's why we're saying everybody is worthy. You're worthy of whatever you create because you're the one that created it. Worthy doesn't mean that you win $1 million. The worthy that we're talking about is not that. The worthy is not that you own a magnificent home. That's not it. Maybe you're sleeping in a tent, but you're still worthy of that tent. You're still worthy of that experience. Why? Because that experience is teaching you something. And what this whole place is about is teaching and learning. Teaching and learning. That's all that is here, everyone. Teaching and learning. So we are all worthy to learn. And everything that we create to teach us is all good. You see. There you go. And to move from one place to the other, you heal yourself of a perception and then grasp another perception. That is a healing as well.
Okay.
So those 3 words in our quote are very important. Healing, good life, worthy. It's a constant state of being. Worthy. It's a constant state. We're never out of being worthy. We're never out of the good life. When it says, so heal yourselves, that phrase we put there to say you don't like what's happening in that good life that you're creating, so heal yourself from it. And now we're using heal in a different way. We're using heal as a movement from one thing to the other.
Right. And you know what? That's helping me right now, because I'm going to tell you what I have started to do the past, I don't know, maybe 4 weeks or whatever. Kathy, change your thoughts and change your reality. I find myself constantly saying that now. If you don't like this, just change your thoughts and change your reality. And so I said, well, what do you want to think? And I consciously changed, don't think about that. And I just focus somewhere else. And it seems to be working for me, because I'm creating what I want to experience, and getting there has been a learning process as well. Because Carol, I'm looking deeper in my own self, in my own life, and I've decided that I am worthy of so many things, and so are you, and so is everyone else out there. I am worthy of everything that I create and attract to myself. Whether I enjoy it or not, but I'm going to now change that and say I'm enjoying everything that I create because I'm worthy of enjoying it. And if I don't like it, change my thoughts, change my reality. That puts the ball back in my court.
Exactly.
Well,
and
the ball never left your court, Miss.
Good point, Realm. Good point. Thank you for bouncing that off of me.
You see. All right, you're going to ask me what are my last words.
Yes.
My last words are to say, everybody on this earth, regardless of how they're manifesting their personalities, is worthy.
Yep.
Worthy of whatever you create, because whatever you create is to assist you in your growth as an individual, to assist you in your growth in your spirituality, to assist you in developing being courageous, you see. For us to be here, you have to be courageous.
Oh boy.
Nobody down here is, if I want to use a word that you use for judgment, nobody here is a punk. Everybody here on this earth, I don't care If you're tall, you're short, you're heavy, you're small. I don't care if you're white, if you're pink, if you're yellow, if you're green. Don't care. We're all are here together because we are worthy and we've got courage to be here.
Mm.
Nobody here is a punk. Everybody here is courageous. And you are worthy at every moment of your life, regardless of what you see. You have created some things that you go, oh my God, where did that come from? You know. So rise and see it as good. You will see it as good because we suggest that you look at what are you learning from it. When you can look at it and say, what am I learning from this? When you ask that question, what am I learning from this?
Yep.
Then you will see that it is all good.
Yep.
Because it is a learning, you see. And as you learn, you heal. You heal from things to move on to a different situation, you see. So you're healing all the time. You're in a state of goodness all the time. And you're in a state of worthiness all the time. And that is our conclusion. Thank you, ladies, for inviting us. Thank you, audience, for being with us today. Goodbye.
You Realm for your wisdom and for the quote. And we'd like to thank Kathy, Greta, Transformation Network. Most importantly, we'd like to thank you, the audience. Until we create each other again, love yourself unconditionally. Have a great week.
Once again, thanks for joining us at Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings on TransformationTalkRadio.com. As you have explored today's creation of reality experience with the realm and me, Greta, each of you is being supported by us in further developing the understanding that you are not just an individual existing in linear time and space, but a multi-dimensional force of infinite possibilities who is connected to all. So begin to create the realities you want. Join us every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Shifting Impressions at TransformationTalkRadio.com. So long until we create each other again next Friday.